Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You made it to Friday. We consider Friday the end of the week here at This Week in Startups. We start up again on Sunday. You get Saturday off, but it is Friday.
It is Friday.
It's Friday.
Saturday you chill. Friday you work. But really, when we say work, what we mean is spend a really long time talking about movies with our bestie, Lon Harris.
So great.
This show
is for us. We love cinema, TV shows. Molly and I love the pop culture. We love science fiction. I like a rom-com. She does not.
I like two rom-coms.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about one of those exact rom-coms today. But there's a lot of news in streaming. Amazon has a TikTok competitor. DC is rebooting the universe. You may lose your Wonder Woman. You may lose your Aquaman. Everything's up in the mix. And then, of course, big debate over HBO's new name, Max, for their streaming services. I'm going to explain why I think this is the best of the worst choices. And then
minds may be changed. And then we end the show with another episode of OK Boomer with producer Rachel, who is interviewing Alex Banks, who's the co-founder of a company called Tribescaler. It's all in this episode. It's going to be a great show.
And I go off on A.O. Scott's top 10 movie list. It is an insane
and Jason
discussion.
Gets hella based.
It's based, J-Cow. Stick with us.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Odoo is a fully customizable and fully integrated suite of business apps that lets you build and scale your stack as you build and scale your business. Odoo is now offering all of their award-winning applications, services, and maintenance for under $25. To learn more, go to odoo.com/twist. And AgeTech Collaborative. Startups, your go-to market team is waiting. AgeTech Collaborative's cutting-edge accelerator program connects you with investors, testbeds, like-minded innovators, and industry expertise. They're taking AgeTech to the next level. Join them at agetechcollaborative.org/twist.
Hey, everybody. It is Friday. It's This Week in Streaming. We normally do this on Thursday, but the flow of the news has been a little chaotic. And anyway, Thursday is for the streaming weekend. Maybe Fridays are better. I don't know.
I like it. Anyway, it gets you ready for the weekend when you got a whole list. You leave here with a whole list of show to watch.
Yeah,
precisely.
Friday's a good TV day. Yeah,
this works. Friday's a good TV day. Hopefully we get this out in time. Lon Harris is with us. Follow him on Twitter, twitter.com/LONS. And you could stump the Lon anytime you like. Just tell him 2 or 3 pop culture items you like, and he will come back to you. So, for example, if I said, I love the Rolling Stones, and I love the Clash.
Just giving me bands now? Okay.
And, I really enjoyed the story. I like ensemble cast. So I love Boardwalk Empire and The Sopranos and ensembles like that. What should I watch next, Lon? Take a second there.
There's a show that's coming up on Amazon in a few months called Daisy Jones and the Six that sounds exactly like what you're describing. It's like a fictional band, like a Fleetwood Mac inspired 70s rock band. And the show is going to follow them on tour. But, like Fleetwood Mac, there's tons of internal conflicts and they're all dating and betraying one another and sleeping around. So it's going to be an ensemble sort of drama, but set within a traveling rock band. Sounds exactly like what you were saying. You're a big fan of the Rolling Stones. So there you go. Also, I would mention Rolling Stones ensemble cast. If you're not watching Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus, everybody, season 2 just debuted this week. Gary Oldman stars, based on a series of British novels. It's basically MI5, which is like UK's FBI, like their internal. Sure. MI6 would be James Bond, that's their CIA. MI5 is their internal police. So it's about the agents for MI5 that screw up, but they don't fire them. They want to just get them out of the way. They send them to a place called Slough House, which is like where the reject spies go, who they just want to stick in a hole. Gary Oldman is the spy chief who runs Slough House. And so it's just them getting into adventures and having spy cases. Really fun.
Like comedy?
But it's a dry, very deadpan, very British. It's like a spy thriller, but with a dark, funny sense of humor.
And spy stuff.
But Mick Jagger wrote the original theme song. So it has a Rolling Stones tie-in. So there you go.
Got it. All right. So that's it. You give him a jumping off point, and he's going to get you there. He's going to get you there. All right. The thing I think we have to talk about is either, Molly, and I'll let you here, ladies' choice, tell us which one you think is the bigger story. The DC universe, which we put Lon in charge of. For some reason, they put some Gunn in charge of it, and he made some decisions. Or, in related news, HBO Max and Discovery have decided on the name Max for their streaming service. Which should we go for first, Molly?
I was really enjoying Lon's tweets about the DC Universe developments.
Okay.
Sure.
And also, personally, even though I thought that Wonder Woman 2 was an abomination, god-awful, one of the few unwatchable things I can even...
So disappointing.
Remember, I'm still hella furious about Wonder Woman 3 being canceled, so I kind of want to start there.
Okay, great.
Let's do it. So we don't know...
What would you have chosen, Lon?
It's a lot. I think this is the big... To me, this is definitely the big story. I mean, everything big. The only stuff we're getting this week is Warner Brothers, Discovery, HBO Max news. So it all kind of ties in weirdly together. But yeah, I think this is the big story this week. It's not a story yet, because really, Gunn and Peter Safran, who they're going to co-run DC Studios together now, they're basically going to pitch Zaslav this coming week. They've got their presentation. Here's our vision. Here's where we see the DC universe going. And this is all people talk to various, reporters around town, and we're getting sort of the preview. Here's where their heads are at. So what this is making it sound like is that Gunn and Safran want to basically reboot the DC cinematic universe. They're going to move away from the Snyder actors and all that Zack Snyder casting that we've had for years, and they're going to try to do their own thing. Now, there's nothing definitive yet, except Wonder Woman 3 seems pretty certain that that's not going to move forward. And there's a little bit of disagreement. Deadline is saying... to me, it sounds like Deadline is talking to people from $7, the Rock's company, and they're telling them, Black Adam did okay. We might have more Black Adam movies. And Gunn and Safran's people are like, Black Adam also dead in the water. So that may be gone. Ooh. But the big thing is it sounds to me like what a lot of the article is saying is they're going to try to move away from the Cavill, the Momoa, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, that whole wing, and try to make it more their own or try to reboot the cinematic universe. And the real big question mark here is The Flash, because we know that Flash movie, it has Cavill in it. It has Momoa in it. It's sort of a introduction to the next era of DC films. And if they're not going to move those guys forward anymore, why would you put that in a movie? It just seems like it creates a weird contradiction.
But in your tweets, and it was kind of interesting, you were like, I don't know if I totally understand the strategy of just wipe the slate clean. Like, it does feel a little scorched earth and poor fan service, which we've talked about a lot with these new, Darth Vader types coming in and basically being like, screw the fans.
I don't feel like I would be as definitive. And we don't know. Maybe Gunn agrees with me and it's just this article is making that not clear. But to me, I feel like there's no need to say we're not going to keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman. The casting a guy to be Aquaman in America and the world loving him was a huge gamble. Like, why lightning might not strike twice. Why would you risk it? People spent $1 billion to go see Jason Momoa as Aquaman. You've got another Aquaman movie coming out. Just keep him in your back pocket. You don't need to greenlight Aquaman 3 next week, but if you're making another movie in a year and there's a scene that it would be cool if Aquaman shows up, why wouldn't you want to be able to get on the horn with Jason Momoa and be like, hey, show up for these 3 scenes? It gets people excited, it gooses the audience. So yeah, like it seems weird that you would say we're going to just these guys are done and we're starting over. That just riles people up unnecessarily when you could just do something like Joker or the Suicide. You could sort of reboot it anyway. You don't have to declare it ahead of time. Our intention is to reboot everything.
Looking for a better way to manage your company without tons of expensive, disconnected software? Then you need Odoo. Odoo is an affordable, all-in-one management software with a massive suite of fully integrated applications designed to handle any unique business need. Sounds great, right? Well, it gets even better. Odoo is now offering all of their award-winning applications, services, and maintenance for under $25. That's right. For less than $25, you get 100% of Odoo for 90% less than the average market price. And Odoo is so much more than a world-famous ERP, that's Enterprise Resource Planner. Odoo has over 80 applications for everything your company will ever need. We're talking CRM, marketing, accounting, manufacturing, inventory, you name it, Odoo's got it. So, as your business grows and your needs change, Odoo will be there every step of the way with dozens of user-friendly solutions to choose from, and you get it all for under $25. To learn more, go to odoo.com/twist. That's odoo.com/twist. Get more done in less time for a fraction of the price with Odoo. Your plan, as previously stated, when I unilaterally put you in charge, was to run a multiverse.
Right.
Now, of course, Zaslav is truly in charge, but, we'll see how this goes. There might have been a case for me to actually be put in charge of this company and to let you pursue the multiverse version of this, which is, hey, you have the Snyderverse, Patty Jenkins verse. You've got the Robert Pattinson verse.
Robert Pattinson, right.
And then you've got whatever
Joker with Todd Phillips, which is
the Todd Phillips verse.
They've got their own Joker. They've got their own Harley Quinn now. I mean, that's the other question mark is Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. We know James Gunn had her in the Suicide Squad movie. Is she gone forever, or is Lady Gaga our new Harley Quinn? Are we going to recast Harley Quinn? There's tons of these kinds of question marks.
I mean,
I have
to
a
boot
theory
Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I'm stepping away from the business for a moment to be a fan, because that would just be so stupid.
And then, the other interesting wrinkle there is Margot Robbie, because she's doing press right now for Babylon. She's in the new Damien Chazelle movie that opens in a few weeks. So she's doing press. They've just been asking her about this, and she had this very interesting, quote where she's been talking about, she's been pushing DC to have a Harley Quinn Poison Ivy team up movie because they're dating in the comics. And so she was like, I'd like Poison Ivy should be Harley Quinn's girlfriend in the movies, and they do a team up movie. So when she first said that, people were reading that as like, oh, she's pitching this to Warner Brothers and she's trying to get the audience excited about it as part of the pitch. But now you could almost read it as, if she thinks she's out, she's retroactively being like, well, here's what I wanted to do. They wouldn't let me, she's kind of, it's politicking it after the fact now that she knows she's not going to be Harley Quinn anymore.
Okay, so this is my point. Here's what's happening. In a power vacuum, people start going after power. You have The Rock, very powerful force in the universe, who aligned himself with Henry Cavill. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Well, here's Danny Garcia, the guy who runs $7 with The Rock and is The Rock's manager, is also Henry Cavill's manager. So that's straight up just the business. That's finance.
They're trying to get
those guys right. That's a
They're trying to secure those roles, and they want to say, "Hey, we are a power couple over here," and that's how he wound up in the Black Adam. Black Adam is a failure. It's going to make or lose $50 million, which in the superhero universe is failure.
Yeah, Deadline and Dwayne are sort of trying to dispute that, but I don't feel like their numbers
either situation, plus or minus 50 for a profit or loss for a tentpole is a failure. There is only one success, and that's making over 100, 200 million in profit. Anything else is a failure. You would agree with that, Lon?
I agree
on a
with
business
that.
level.
I agree. Not only do I agree with that, but I think we know what the benchmarks are for like runaway success. When the audience is behind you and they love it and it's a big hit, you get to 600 million, 700 million, a billion globally. I mean, we've seen Aquaman did it. The Batman has, movies can do it. So the fact that Black Adam didn't get there.
That's it. People didn't connect with the character. Right. The story wasn't, I liked it. My kids liked it. It just wasn't a breakout.
I thought it was fun. I really like Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. That's an old DC character I'm a big fan of. I thought he nailed it. Yeah.
Then you have Patty Jenkins. She's going for hers. And now I'll just wrap up my power vacuum, the concept here. You got Patty Jenkins, and she's pulling the Wonder Woman card. Wonder Woman is arguably the best character to come out of this whole thing, in my opinion. If I had to pick my top 3 out of this whole thing, it's Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman, and then maybe Aquaman. Yeah. And then I guess I go Batman and maybe, the Henry Cavill or whatever his name is. He's kind of boring.
Henry Cavill.
Super boring, super flat. No offense.
He's so great at Mission Impossible. I think that's his best role.
Perfect.
Also, did you guys ever see that Guy Ritchie's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie? I highly recommend. This does not get Man from U.N.C.L.E. was like a 60s spy show.
They're totally campy. That was fantastic.
Guy Ritchie did a movie version a few years ago with Henry Cavill as Napoleon Solo and the now disgraced Armie Hammer as the other main role, and it's super good.
Timeshare salesperson. Timeshare salesperson.
Yeah, right, exactly. Cayman Islands timeshare chief Armie Hammer. Yeah,
probably not as fun to watch now.
Robbie is really going for her power play.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, just on your point, I can tell you young people are obsessed with the love affair between Harlequin and Ivy. This is the lesbian theme for a lot of young people. This is a major thing that people are talking about in middle school and high school. It's
also the animated Harley Quinn show, right? That they're together on the animated show. Yeah.
And on the animated show, they're kissing, I think. And so kids are, we didn't have anybody kiss on a cartoon superhero show when we were kids. So I guess this is meant for teens.
The Harley Quinn show is it's like a Family Guy. It's like purposefully raunchy and adult. It's not for kids. It's not for kids.
Yet my kids are watching it. So I'm going to have to go do some policing.
I think your kids are of the age where they can watch. It's not,
yes,
like horrible or immoral or violent or anything. It's just, it's wrong.
I think that James Gunn is looking at this saying, I'm going to have to exert some power here. And if I am in charge, we're going to clean the slate, starting from zero. Here's the plan. Everybody gets to interview for their new job. So basically, I don't think he's going to recast everybody. I think he's going to say, everything's on the table. Here's the new plan based on, what's the big super team-up movie in the DC universe?
Well, Justice League.
Well, there's Justice League, but wasn't there their own version of Infinity or
there's a bunch of different ones that you go to. Usually it involves, we sort of teased in Zack Snyder's Justice League the character of Darkseid, who's from the planet Apocalypse. He's your Thanos. So what you would normally be doing is you would be doing a 10 or 12. If you wanted to copy Marvel, you do a long franchise that leads into some kind of apocalypse war storyline. Yes. There's a ton of DC team up stuff that deals with that, but any of those. And that's what Snyder was trying to do. He was teasing the anti-life equation and Darkseid and all that, which was his way of introducing
where now things are screwed up because they they teased it, but they didn't kind of get there. So now what is, James going to do? He's going to pick it up from where Zack Snyder left off, and that whole thing is questionable, or does he just start over? I think he starts over, but I do think he lets everybody reapply for their role because you're 100% correct. You're not going to find a better Aquaman in all likelihood. You're not going to find a better Wonder Woman. You will find a better Superman. You will find a better Batman. Perhaps.
Pattinson's great. I really like
Which one? Which one?
I really liked the Pattinson movie. It's not a conventional Batman movie, but I dug it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
anyway, that's my full theory on the whole thing. I think he's just going to come in, exert power, here's the story. Now everybody re-interviews. It's sort of like Netflix where they're like, hey, you know what? It's the end of the year. Reapply for your job. It's that kind of level of power move. I think is power move.
It's an old Hollywood thing that the idea being if you're the new guy brought in to run the studio,
yes,
it doesn't make a lot of sense to hang on to the previous person's slate. Because if it does well, it doesn't reflect well on you. It was the person who used to have the job did a great job. These are all good projects. But if it fails, everybody's looking at you what are you doing? Why didn't you cancel
that? You screwed up their vision.
So it's kind of lose-lose. Whereas if you get rid of the Snyderverse and you do the Gunverse, well, it lives or dies with you. If it's a success, you get, James Gunn looks like a genius.
Are we running out of actors for superhero slots? Is my next question.
Yeah.
Are we running out of A-list actors? Who hasn't played a role? Ryan Reynolds played 2. Deadpool and Green Lantern.
We haven't gotten to this, but they're talking about having Momoa play some totally different role, this Lobo character.
The discussion is that if
they'll like
Momoa
just soap opera him, they'll just be like, he's here now.
Which could happen, and we've seen several actors have actually done that, where they've been one hero in one universe, and then they've jumped over and become and Ryan Reynolds, the obvious example, of, sure. Green Lantern, and then
yeah, exactly. Like
Deadpool.
Assuming, and I don't think that they would, but assuming that any of these actors say no after, if Gunn like alienates them and they're like, no, I don't want to take, on this multi-million-dollar role, which I'm sure they would. But assuming that they say no, like, what do you do? Who is left? I mean, I guess you just go younger, right? Like that woman from Wednesday is like,
yeah, Jenna Ortega, right?
Jenna Ortega. You bring her in as new Wonder Woman.
Yeah, there's always new actors and up and coming people, and I mean Stephanie Sue, the girl from Everything Everywhere All at Once, she's gonna be in stuff now, and like there's always those projects that introduce new people everybody gets excited about. So I'm not that worried about that.
Timothy Chalamet, producer Brian says Chalamet.
Idea? What about Molly's idea of going young?
I think you just go younger. You start it over for a new generation. Like there is this. I mean, Gal Gadot is not old. None of these people are old. But no. when I hear J. Cal talk about what the middle school set is talking about, like you could imagine them doing a younger Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn movie.
Robert Pattinson's the younger Batman.
Yeah,
right. He's
our Pat.
I mean, I think it really depends on the filmmaker and the project and like who's the right person for the angle that you want to take. Because I mean, like we would usually think, bringing in a guy like Ben Affleck, he's probably too old at that point to be Batman. But that was the Batman story they were telling. He's the old broken down Batman who's gotten cynical. And, I think you have to consider those things. And I don't think you necessarily want an all crew of like, it's all Peter Parkers and everybody's 18.
Yeah. I do wonder, and then we should talk about the Max. Well,
there's so much WB stuff,
story. I do wonder from a business perspective, is this the play? Like, sure, Hollywood's about power. Everything's about power. And you come in, you're like, I'm new and I'm doing this and whatever. But is there enough evidence that the existing strategy was so bad that it needed to be thrown out wholesale or at least lit on fire, and then maybe parts of it will get put out? Like Black Adam, I think, is an interesting example of, is it being judged? Is there still pandemic hangover in terms of going to the movies? Like, I just wonder when they look at these metrics and say, oh, Black Adam has failed. It's like, well, do we now need to give movies 6 to 8 months on streaming to determine their true success?
I think it's a great point. And I think that what this is allowing people to do is play extremely fast and loose. Like whatever argument you're making, you can use the box office now to back it up, because we don't know what average is anymore. And we don't know what, like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and Black Adam and Wonder Woman 2, these movies all performed comparably. So if we're saying The Suicide Squad was good enough to get James Gunn this part, why wasn't Wonder Woman 2 good enough to get Wonder Woman 3 greenlit? It just seems like you could kind of fudge the rules because nobody has a good sense of what a movie should make. Having said that, we've got these crazy outliers. Like Top Gun Maverick makes all these other kinds of arguments kind of secondary, because like, well, it can be done if you get people excited enough. They'll show up for Tom Cruise in a jet.
Here's what needs to happen.
Maybe we just don't want superhero movies anymore. Oh,
I mean, I've seen people making this case that like, if you start to look at the box office post-pandemic, it does look like maybe and I mean, we've certainly seen this. I don't know if you could say that about superheroes yet, but with family-oriented animated movies, you can't. Like, they were a locked-in, guaranteed thing 5 years ago. If you release a big animated movie that appeals to kids, it's going to do well in its first few weekends because parents are just desperate to do something with these kids.
Yeah.
Today, doesn't necessarily work.
It's because of the day and the date. There's too many animated films, and so you can wait it out. There's not the need to go see Encanto in theaters. We just waited. And that one, I think, was a day and date.
That was a day and date, but like Strange World, the new sci-fi animated Disney one, is tanking in theaters. Yeah. And people are waiting to catch it on Disney+.
We can wait, but I do like to take the kids.
The crazy metric there is, you know that one, The Menu, that Ray Fiennes movie, that like art house thriller that's out right now?
Yeah.
It's like Ray Fiennes is like a high-class chef, and it's like this tasting menu, but then there's something dark and sinister going on.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
That movie has outgrossed Strange World so far. This Fox Searchlight weird
grown-ups want to get the hell out of the house, but parents realized movies have been a ripoff this whole time. I really think there's just going to be a big, and it's going to take us a while to figure out, but the playing field has changed. And a movie like Black Adam is what I like to call my exact favorite kind of movie, where it has a terrible critic score.
Yeah.
Like I always look at the critic score on Rotten Tomato and the audience score. And if the critic score is like sub 50 and the audience score is over 75, I know I'm going to love that movie.
I mean, it's pretty bad,
trash
but
taste
it's
and I love it. But I'm not going to leave the house for it. I'm going to stream it. So like, I just think that there's a reshuffle happening and a lot of these studio decisions are being made, I would argue, potentially on old data.
Okay.
And I mean, I think Black Adam is the kind of movie that would have benefited from people going to a theater who maybe didn't even know what they wanted to see. It was like, oh, it's Friday, let's go see a movie. Oh, The Rock has that new one out. But if you're not as inclined to just go to a theater anymore,
right?
Maybe you don't care that much. You'll wait and catch it on HBO
like
Max.
Molly's theory
It's not
here.
the 90s.
In a budget-conscious, recessionary environment, you're already paying for your streaming services. You haven't caught up. There's a glut. It's a supply-demand budgetary issue. You put too much supply, not enough demand, and then you layer on top of it a recession, and people are like, you know what? $100 to go to the movies, $0. Order in a pizza for, and take out a pint of Haagen-Dazs. I'm in for $25 for dinner, and I got to go $150 to go to the movies and dinner. Screw it. I'm saving $1.25.
Yeah. I'm not getting the flu. Like, I'm just not about it anymore. I'm like, not worth the exposure.
I still love taking my kids to it. I literally look at the show times. I work backwards from what's available because I love going to cinema, but I'm an old school guy.
We're going to get another fascinating case study in just a few weeks when Disney opens Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
I'm 1,000% in for
That's
showing
not a movie
reviews.
you can wait for streaming. You got to do IMAX 3D.
Hey, everybody. It's time for a special interview with an old friend of mine, Rick Robinson. He is the GM of AgeTech Collaborative, which is brought to you by our friends at AARP, which I think, Rick, correct me if I'm not, at 52 as of last week. Am I able to be in AARP now?
You are welcome to join.
Oh, man, you and I got old.
Yes.
What happened? This is amazing. You guys are really excited about engaging the startup community in building technology for folks who are getting up there in age.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us developing the AgeTech Collaborative to try to put a focus on what we call AgeTech. And you might be wondering, like, what is AgeTech? Well, it's the intersection of longevity and technology, really. These are health tech companies. These are fintech companies. These are wellness companies. Essentially, it's going to be almost every company because the market 50 plus is becoming so enormous that they can't be ignored. And then you've got a lot of people who are supporting that market, who can be any age. It's kind of a white space because not a lot of product developers and marketers and startups and investors have put a lot of focus on this, but it's huge and it's growing. In fact, it's around $8.5 trillion in terms of economic value in the U.S. right now.
All right, thanks, Rick. When you're selling into the 50-plus market, having a relationship with AARP gives you a bunch of credibility, of course. In the meantime, you can go learn more about the AgeTech Collaborative at agetechcollaborative.org/twist. And join us later in the program and you hear more about the AgeTech Collaborative and how they help innovative startups succeed. I just want to wrap up superhero films with one single chart. And then if you could go down here to the numbers here, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, Superman, No Way Home, all in the $2 billion-ish club. Then we go down to the $1 billion club, numbers 4 through 13. This tells the story. First three are obviously, you got $6 billion in the first three alone in Marvel product. Then you get Avengers, Ultron, Black Panther, Iron Man 3, Civil War, Aquaman, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, and then in number 12 and number 13, in wrapping up the $1 billion club, we'll even go to number 14 since it's essentially, we'll round up, and number 15 are all kind of $1 billion club. DC shows up, Dark Knight Rises, Joker, The Dark Knight. What that shows is Batman is the franchise, and a dark Batman wins. Full stop, the end. I'm just going by performance. Zaslav is looking at this chart. Zaslav is looking at this chart and saying, where are we? Then we go to 15, Doctor Strange, then Spider-Man, and then finally Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, There's your top 20 and 22 Wonder Woman. So, you start looking in the top. The only one that isn't a Batman film for DC in the top 25, I kid you not, is Wonder Woman.
Aquaman.
With 800.
There's two.
Aquaman is 9.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Aquaman's 9. So congratulations. Aquaman, Wonder Woman breaking in, but it's a Batman world. They got to nail these characters.
And an Aquaman world, though, that still came in higher. I'm standing up for my boy Momoa.
So you have to keep him. That's my point.
You have to keep him.
You have to keep him. You got to keep a great Batman.
I feel like you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't keep making films with the characters that have proven to be breakout success characters that have captured the public's imagination.
And 27 is the Batman.
Godot.
So what this argues for is
and
Robert Pattinson, Wonder Woman, and Momoa being Justice League. Am I correct or not? Can you pull that off?
Gal. You need Wonder Woman. Like, she is Wonder Woman.
Can you put Robert Pattinson on either side of Gal Gadot and Momoa? Yes or no?
You'd have a lot of splaining to do there because their Batman was Ben Affleck. And so if you don't get Ben Affleck back, you've got to explain why is there this other Batman. Now, DC had a plan. The plan was Michael Keaton. That was the old plan. Remember? They were putting Michael Keaton in the Flash movie, and they were putting Michael Keaton in that Batgirl movie that's not happening anymore. And then the plan was they were going to explain he came through a rip in the multiverse. Here's this other universe's Batman, and now we've got a Batman again. But that's off. That looks like even if Keaton shows up in Flash at all, it'll just be a one-off cameo. They're not permanently bringing him back.
So we got to go with the 40-year-old version of this. The Gal Gadot.
You could introduce a new guy as Batman. You would just have to explain it.
What would the explanation be? He's taken over as Batman?
I would say if it were, again, if you came to me and you were like,
this is it.
Harris,
this is why you should be in charge.
That's why you're here, man.
I would say you set up Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond from the animated series in the comics, and say Bruce Wayne was training a protege we just hadn't met who's ready to take over as the new younger version of Batman.
So you kill Affleck and you have him come in.
Or retire. You can even have Affleck retire off screen, have him do a vocal cameo if he's willing or something.
It's such a simple, easy solution. What are the chances Gunn's going to do?
He's young Batman and he's just starting out, and boom, there you go.
All right, now we have to go to A.O. Scott. What do you think of it, Molly? You like this plan? Robert Pattinson squeaks in? It's a high-risk maneuver.
It's a high-risk maneuver.
He's got such a specific, his own Gotham in his own world. I feel like it's weird.
I think it would be hard to bring him into that world, especially because you've already set up to a little love, a little sexual tension with him and Wonder Woman, Affleck, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And also, that would be...
Matt Reeves
that never worked for me. Isn't Wonder Woman, in fact, a lesbian as well? I mean, can we just give her that or no?
I mean,
there is that nice scene with Chris Pine where she talks about how unnecessary men are.
There is it's been played a lot of different ways throughout the history of the comic books. Because she did have a love interest in the old comics, Steve Trevor. But
I mean, it's true.
Steve Trevor's a beard. I think he was
always
covered.
There is also this idea that, it's an island that's only populated by women. So do they not have relationships at all on Themyscira? Or if they do, they're women having relationships with women.
I mean, of course she's going to try out the hot new thing. She's never seen a man before. You're gonna take that pony out.
There's a movie called Professor Marston and the Wonder Women or something like that. That's about the creator of Wonder Woman and all these ideas.
You started it.
It's true. I did open the door. All right. I want to open and shut this door real quick.
Mm-hmm.
A.O. Scott. I at some point got into it with the film critics at the New York Times, where I was like, "Is this a list of the best international films of the 21st century?" Or the best films? And they went off on me as being, and I got blocked by like 10 film critics, and they were like, you are it was like a whole like
you heathen.
But
what are we?
I don't want to get into like a woke thing or like a xenophobic thing or whatever.
Everybody else can shut up.
But I was like, why does the New York Times hate the movies that Americans love?
A.O. Scott's job is not to tell you you're the smartest boy who likes all the best movies and make you feel good about yourself. His job is to teach you about movies, especially ones you haven't heard about. There are plenty of critics.
That's the job of the New York Times film critic?
What's the job?
Is to lecture me?
What's the job of a film critic?
Have you been following the controversy
and inform you about what's going on in international film? You're not an expert, or you're not spending all day watching international movies and learning about what's going on in the international film scene. That's why journalism exists. That's why you would hire a New York Times chief film critic who's been doing this for decades. And that's his job. Anybody
Molly,
could watch
counterpoint.
Black Adam and be like, I thought it was good. That's my job.
Molly, please, your opinion
I know
on this
that
A.O. Scott list?
taste is absolute trash, and that's why I look at audience score over critic score. This is just like there's been this like same controversy over the Pitchfork best albums of 2022 lists, because everybody's like, what is this? And it's all just, and the whatever. I agree. It is their job to go and be the boots on the ground for all of the stuff that we're not going to go see, but it doesn't have to be. There's popular.
Why pay an expert to spend their whole lives watching movies and analyzing movies and then not listen to them when they're like, these are great movies you might not have heard of?
Let me explain why the two of you are wrong.
No, we're not. You unexpected populist, you.
I'm not trying to be populist. I am trying to find a middle ground. Hey, everybody. It's time for a special interview with an old friend of mine, Rick Robinson. He is the GM of AgeTech Collaborative, which is brought to you by our friends at AARP. So how does the collaborative work? How do you help companies and investors kind of access these companies and these markets?
So essentially what we do is we look for companies, we incubate them, we invest in them, and then we bring them into this new environment we call the AgeTech Collaborative community. So yes, we have pitch competitions that we run throughout the year, themed, and some of them are open mic style. And it's a way for us to source and find great early stage companies, usually pre-Series A. We invite some of them into our accelerator program, which is extremely high touch, 8 weeks, 4 times a year, where we bring in aging experts. We help get them best prepared to deliver their product or service to the market. Then, as I mentioned, we often invest in these companies, and then they graduate into the AgeTech Collaborative community, which is an online platform that makes up an ecosystem that we're developing that includes, of course, the startups, investors, testbed organizations, enterprises, and business services, all in this one online environment where they can support and draw from one another.
Great. So there's an online community people can go visit. They can go visit that at agetechcollaborative.org/twist. agetechcollaborative.org/twist. And so if you want to build in that market, if you want to sell into that market, if you want to invest in that market, this is a great way for you to partner with AARP, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
A.O. Scott is trolling Americans. This is a pure troll
on there. And After Sun and Tar and Flux Gourmet, these are not impossible to find movies. These are like Tar is rentable on VOD right now. It's on Amazon. Flux Gourmet is on Shudder.
Okay,
All the Bleeding Bloodshed just isn't out yet. It comes out in a few weeks. After Sun is an A24 movie. It's been playing in theaters. These are not really that obscure.
Hold on.
A24 is like the studio du jour.
Molly.
I mean, I'm not going to watch any of these. No.
Okay. No, I'm not going to even go there.
I will not.
I'm just, the audience needs to hear this list. If you're listening to my voice right now and you watched movies in 2022, you're the person I'm asking this question to. What did you think of A.O. Scott's number one choice, Note by Jordan Peele? Okay, you didn't see it. You didn't see it, correct, Molly?
Oh, I'm a chicken, but tons of people saw it.
Okay, number 2, Neptune Frost.
It's an indie sci-fi post-apocalyptic movie about It's about a collective of hackers who are like trying to take over the predominant ruling class. No, it's an American film, and Saul Williams is like a musician. This is
number
like
3, Mr. Bachman and his class.
I'm ready.
I don't know that. I'm going to watch Neptune. I think it's German. Maria Speth. I believe it's a German film.
You don't even know it. Okay, and you're in this business.
But I'm excited to find out about a movie I don't know that's great.
Okay, so if this was let me just continue. After Sun by Charlotte Wells. What is this?
This is an indie drama from the UK. A24 released it. It's in theaters now. Paul Mescal was in that Hulu series Normal People. He stars in it. It's about a father and daughter on a vacation together.
Sorry, I fell asleep when you said on vacation. No Bears.
All the kids are into A24, that studio.
I don't know No Bears either.
Okay, all right. I rest my case. 2 of the top 5 you don't even know. Number 6, Tar. I know about Tar.
Tar is brilliant. Got that famous actress in it. It's one of the best performances of the year.
Okay, so this is like a Whiplash. Is this Whiplash 2.0?
No, I'll tell you, you might like it because it deals with like cancel culture, wokeness.
I saw the clip. There's a stunning clip from this where she tells a person who doesn't want to play Bach because he's a white musician, And he's like, I don't want to play music by oppressive people. And she's just like, it's just the best ever written.
It's a fascinating character study. Kate Blanchett plays one of the world's most acclaimed composers and conductors.
Okay.
And it's about her starting off at this position of extreme prominence and how her prestige begins to slip.
Did you see it?
I saw it. It's brilliant. It's really brilliant. It's on VOD right now. Recommend.
Can't wait to see it. Lost Illusions.
I don't know that one. I don't even know. I've never even heard of Xavier Giannoli. Flux Gourmet is amazing. It's on Shudder right now. It's this guy, Peter Strickland. He also did a movie that I urge you all to check out called Berberian Sound Studio.
Okay.
He makes indie, weird, unconventional horror and thriller films.
Sounds like Cronenberg? Like David Cronenberg?
A little bit.
Okay.
Definitely
what is Flux Gourmet?
Artsy horror. Flux Gourmet is about a group of people that make soundscapes with food, and it's like they're an experimental collective that does like weird art projects with food, but then it becomes like a horror movie. I don't want to.
Yeah, okay, don't. Yeah,
it's very interesting. It's on Shudder right now. Highly recommended.
So he put a horror film in there or two. That's interesting. All the beauty and the bloodshed.
Called In Fabric. Peter Strickland, same director. That's about a dress that murders the women who wear it. He makes
having a little comeback here with this A24. What is All the Beauty and the Bloodshed? Number 9.
You remember Laura Pontras? She did that. Citizen Zero? That film, whatever the film was about. Glenn Greenwald and
yeah, sure.
Poitras. She was part. She was part of the big reveal. She was part of the big the papers, the Snowden story.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Wasn't she was one of the producers?
The Snowden. This is her new documentary.
Yeah. She was one of the producers of the whole Snowden release.
I like a good doc.
And it's about this one's about the Sackler family. It's about the owners of Purdue Pharma and their relationship with the artist Nan Golden. I hear it's great. It's not out. It's out in like 2 weeks, but I'm hoping to see it.
And then finally, number 10 of A.O. Scott's top 10 films of 2022, Down with the King. Diego on
Down with the King is, I've heard of this one too. And this is it's like an indie, it's not even a foreign film, I don't think. It's like an indie drama about a rapper. And it's got, Freddie Gibbs. He's like a sort of an indie rap artist, like a very well-regarded sort of old school rapper. He's like the star of it.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if the title of this was the best movies you probably didn't see of 2022.
But these are A.O.
That's fine. Hold on. Let me make my point, please.
I'm with Lon. You have made your point with this entire segment.
You are going to agree with me in 30 seconds.
No.
This should not be the best movies of 2022 because it does not represent what actually are the best films of 2022. There is one spectacular film that made people go to the movie theaters by the greatest movie, perhaps the greatest movie star of our generation.
Maverick?
How do you put After Sun, No Bears, Lost Illusions, and whatever this documentary is above the single cinematic experience of 2022?
There's no objective
Maverick. Would it kill A.O. Scott
movie
to put? It's certainly one of the top 5 films of the year.
Well,
there's no
list that doesn't include it.
Films of the year. It doesn't exist. Whatever you thought were your 5 favorite movies of the year, those are your top 5 best films. The idea that we could somehow take our opinion out and just look at the filmmaking. Here's the thing. People think they can do that. They're like, oh, but just look at the filmmaking, just at the quality of the performance. It's like, you don't know how to evaluate that stuff. You're just watching it. Like, the idea that you can watch a movie and objectively pick apart the skill and the craft with which it was made, everybody's deluded. They're fool. Critics can't even do that. We're all just saying the things we like the best.
Right.
I'm so irritated right now because on the one hand, I do count on a critic to find me art that I don't know is art that I'm probably not going to watch because I am trash. But art is really important, and I am happy to see something other than a tentpole freaking superhero movie get recognized. And also, Maverick got great critic scores. Like, it would not kill
I'm talking about this critic.
Both things are true.
The New York Times.
Where A.O. Scott's I think specifically excluded this particular, this movie could have been in that top 10 list. And he excluded it because He's
trolling us. His list is garbage.
No, it's not
I've
trolling.
tried a lot of
Credibility is
outside the
zero.
box
It's not
stuff on my
trolling.
top 10 list too. Mad God, After Yang, Saloon. Those aren't mainstream.
Wait, you have a top 10 list? Give me the top
you wanna
3.
hear it? I haven't seen everything yet, but I have a top. I keep a running list all year of my favorite stuff.
Just give me your top 3 that you loved. That you would tell me and Molly and a normal human on planet Earth, you're going to love it.
You're gonna get mad at me, but I'm gonna go. Number 1, Mad God. That's Phil Tippett's stop motion animated epic that's on Shudder right now. Phil Tippett did special effects for Star Wars, Jurassic Park. He's a legend in the animation.
It's a wild card. I give you the wild card.
And the visual effects industry. He made a stop motion animated film that's it's wild. It's a character exploring like a nightmare, hellish world where all these monsters are like trapped doing manual labor. It's incredible. Number 2, this one's on Showtime, a filmmaker named Koreeda. It's called After Yang, and it's with Colin Farrell. It was out like March, April this year. It's a sort of
sci-fi?
near future sci-fi drama.
I heard of this.
Families in the future can get robots, lifelike robots, to like live with them. So it's about this couple. They adopt a child from China, and then they bring in a older, like a boy Chinese robot to be like the older brother of their new daughter, to give her someone who feels like she has a connection to grow up with. And then the robot malfunctions, and it's about how the family deals with this loss that's like, it is a loss, but it's not a human loss. And it's a really fascinating movie. And then the third one,
After Yang is your number 2.
After Yang, number 2. And then the third one, I think I've talked about this before. It's with Rebecca Hall, also on Shudder right now. It's called Resurrection. Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. Incredible,
I love a Tim Roth film.
Thriller. Rebecca Hall is this very successful single mom, very like put together. Everything in her life is worked out. And then she sees Tim Roth in public, and just seeing him brings back something from her past and starts to like unravel her entire life. And so we slowly start to unpeel like, what's the nature of their relationship and why is she so unnerved by seeing him? Rebecca Hall is, I've rarely seen a performance like this in a film. She's unbelievable in this movie.
Okay.
I like her. I didn't know that was that lady's name.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. I'm like,
Can I ask you a question, Lon, before I kick you off the show? Is Top Gun in your top 10?
It is. It's my number 10. So the rest of the top 10 is Nope, Tar, Saloon, Moon Age Daydream, Crimes of the Future, Jackass Forever at number 9, and then Top Gun Maverick at number 10.
So this is perfect.
You don't have to be A.O. Scott. That's a perfect list.
You need to. I'm giving you a 3rd job, 4th job. This is your 4th job I'm giving you.
Oh my God.
Number 3 job. You need to replace A.O. Scott. Because you made a list that's intriguing with wild cards, with things that
and honest
are stunning in terms of performance, screenplay, or uniqueness, but you also recognize that you could have a tub of popcorn and see Jackass, you could see Maverick, or you could see an animated film, a stop motion film, and have great joy in the cinematic experience. Once again, Lon, you are the best film and pop culture critic on the planet. A.O. Scott is garbage. The list is garbage.
Man,
he's purposely trolling everybody, and I am disgusted once again with the New York Times. First, Andrew Ross Sorkin with that terrible interview, and now this jokester.
Well, and nobody
not even putting Maverick on the list.
Nobody go to the New York Times today because you'd be crossing a digital picket line anyway. So
Thursday,
I'm going to allow it this once.
Yesterday, the New York Times on strike today. Strike on Thursday. This is for Friday.
Oh right, yeah, it was yesterday. Sorry, folks.
Perfect. Here's what happens. Anybody on strike? Guess what? We're doing a riff. You're on the list. Let's go. Is that legal? Is that legal? Can you riff
really
the people who go on strike?
I'm pretty sure.
You can't do that?
I feel like the labor board is going to have an issue.
Labor laws.
Kind of a large labor violation. Yeah. I know.
Okay, don't do a labor violation.
Pesky.
But you do need to do a riff, New York Times. So, for the maniacs who went on strike begging for more from the New York Times, you're in a recession. No. Wake up, people.
No.
You're lucky to have your job. Go to the office, get there early, stay late.
No.
Big riff coming. Anybody want to make a bet that New York Times lays people off in the next 6 months? Who wants to take the bet?
I mean, I don't want to take a bet on that.
No, you're betting on people's lives. Let's remember.
Kanye West has a suicide attempt.
Riffs are humans.
In the next year,
yeah, exactly. Just like keep it coming there.
Literally, that was one of my group chats. Laying
keep it coming there,
Kanye
Joker.
West suicide. Yes, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah. Not a well, man.
New York Times reported.
I know we're just like I know. Oh no.
All right. I think Max is a good name. I'm fine with the name Max.
It seems weird to me because HBO is the brand. Max is not a recognizable brand.
Max
well, it's
is
just
a bundle.
word. Because it's just a
like
freaking
Hulu.
word.
Like Hulu.
For iPad Max.
Max equals Hulu. That's it.
What's
it
really
includes
sad
a
about this
collection.
is the idea that they want to deprecate the HBO brand. Like
No, I don't think they're
HBO,
deprecating it, do they?
They don't want to dilute the HBO brand, is what they're saying, because they're basically this
Yes,
is going
I
to
agree.
be. They're taking all the Discovery channels and jamming them in here, and so they don't want it to be like Food Network and HBO are identical brands now. But I still think they're wrong. Like I don't agree with this strategy. I don't think Max means anything to people. I think Warner Brothers means something to people. I think HBO means something to people. I don't think Max means anything to people.
All right.
Do you remember that Simpsons where Homer renames himself Max Power?
Max Power.
That's
He's
what-
man with the name
Max
that
Power's a
you
pretty good name.
want to touch.
Yeah, I'm
Lon
going to rename
gets it.
myself.
This is
Max.
basically that. Max Power.
Let me just give them some cover here. This is a 60-40 decision. It's not an easy decision to make because HBO, when you hear that music, and remember the old thing, whatever that sound is. They fly over your neighborhood.
The 80s.
So there's those two. There's the where you get the Sopranos.
Yeah.
Woke up this morning.
The static one, yeah.
The static one. Then there's the da-da-da-da-da from the 80s and 90s where they fly over and then you watch a movie.
Right.
It's awesome.
Which, to be fair, means nothing to anyone because we're old as hell.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry,
no.
It's still
I think it's still iconic because of Euphoria. HBO, every goddamn show on that network is worth watching. I'm trying to find a show on there that I said garbage. I haven't said that.
No,
Industry.
I mean, John from Cincinnati, but you got to go back a little way.
Don't even remember it.
They've had a few one-offs.
I'm just saying of late. Is White Lotus theirs?
Yeah, White Lotus is theirs.
Industry
and it's amazing.
Is Industry theirs?
Industry is HBO.
Is Euphoria theirs?
Euphoria, Hacks.
Hacks, loved. A
Game of
sleeper
Thrones,
for me.
I mean, House of the Dragon
House of the
and Game of
Dragon.
Thrones.
All right, listen. HBO Max means crafted, beautiful product, thoughtful, worthy of your time, worthy of discussion. That's what it means. That's not what Discovery means in their collection of like home improvement. And so if you really believe long-term that HBO stands for something, then you don't want to name it HBO. But what a nice little thing that they did this HBO Max mess. Because now they can say, you know what? Max is like Hulu. It's a collection of brands. It's a logical decision in my mind. It's the best of bad decisions you could make.
All right, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. I don't buy anything else you've said today, but that one.
To build off of that, they're also saying it's going to visually be like Disney Plus. You know how Disney Plus has the hubs across the top? So that when you first arrive, you go, that's what they're going to do as well. So it'll be like, do you want HBO shows? Do you want Warner Brothers films? Do you want DC? Do you want Discovery reality shows?
Consumers will understand this. Consumers are going to understand it.
Smart.
So Molly, to be clear,
sold.
Right, exactly like that top row of hubs of brands.
Yep.
I apologize for based JCal on Fridays, but I'm going into a very based weekend. Number one, if you're striking in a recession, you're probably going to get laid off. Number two, if you give me a woke trolling and you don't include Maverick on the list, I'm going to be based. And
why do you think it's woke? Just don't even. Just stop. Anyway, please. I'm sorry. Please. I didn't mean to.
Okay, not woke, but trolling. Okay, I'm not going to use a trigger word.
Effete. The word you're looking for is effete.
It's
I don't speak
elitist.
French. I took 2 years of French. I don't speak it.
It's
what does
precious.
effete mean?
You know, he goes to every film festival. He sees every big art house film. Like he's supposed to have those kinds of opinions and those expert takes.
It's
there
true.
are plenty of
And if
people
you
who
had
write for the local
1,000
paper
Yes.
who's going to go see, whatever the big movies are this weekend, and they'll tell you what they liked. It's two
could
different
even just
jobs.
be educated. It could even just be an educated list.
I don't know what
which we
effete
are
means.
not
What does
because we
effete
have not
mean?
seen.
Does that mean like dainty or
It means like precious. Yeah.
precious?
Yeah.
I'm not looking for. I'm looking for accuracy between the title and the product. The best films of 2022
Those
should
are his
not.
picks for the best films.
All right,
The most
it should
popular
say.
films would be a different list.
It should say
Effete is characterized by
elite
extreme
person's top 22
refinement
yes. Okay.
or self-indulgence.
A effete person's best films of 2022.
Having
But
or
that's what you're
reflecting.
supposed to do. You're supposed to find the critics whose opinions mirror your own, or at least you find their takes interesting, and then you read them. So maybe you and A.O. Scott are just not aligned. Maybe you're more of a Manohla Dargis guy.
A pretentious, the 22 best, most pretentious films of 2022.
Oh my God.
The most pretentious.
They're not pretentious.
Come on. He put 3 films on there you don't know, Lon. It's a bit pretentious. Is it a little bit pretentious?
I don't go to a single film festival in a year. Like I'm getting my feed the same way everyone else is.
I'm so tilted right now. I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. But I'm tilted about this guy.
100% wrong. Like neither of you is 100% right or wrong. How about that? I'm just going to sit right here in the middle and go like, there is an effeteness about this list. And also, if I had seen 1,000 movies this year at every film festival, it's possible Maverick might get crowded out. Like, I don't know. All
right, here's what
I have one that's high on my list too, called Soft and Quiet, that nobody's heard of. I just caught it on VOD, and it's amazing. It's out. It's on VOD right now. Rentable
is this an
right
NC-17? Like,
oh no, he's looking it up again.
It's shot. It's all done in real time. Like it's all shot single take, real time.
What?
Soft and Quiet. And it's a group of women, and they're having this meeting. This like, we're like-minded citizens, like a get to know you. Okay, we're going to start this club. And you only realize slowly over the course of the meeting that they are white supremacists. And they're starting a Nazi club meeting. And then things, it becomes a thriller. Blumhouse produced. It becomes a thriller. It's sort of, things spiral very much out of hand.
So like mystery horror thriller.
It's like a
genre.
Thriller. Like things
I like
happen.
A good thriller.
Yeah, it's like a crime thriller that stuff starts to happen, and the tension builds, and eventually a violent incident happens, and it's just how these women react to it, but in real time.
88% fresh, but Molly, audience score 58. So this could be a little bit of a critic favorite.
It's one of those movies that it's like all the characters are awful. They're white supremacists,
right?
So you're being sucked into their world and their mindset.
Nazis with casseroles.
And it's very clever and smart and thoughtful, but it's not like an easy, fun watch. So I could see why the audience score might be like, this was a lot to take.
My reviews site, and I think I at one point did own this domain, although I may have let it go, is badbutawesome.com. Like, I know the movies I like are bad. I know, but they are awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, that's like, to me, that's so much of the value of a critic is like, I read a review and that's how I heard of Soft and Quiet. And then I rented it on VOD and then I watched and I was like, this is amazing. So if I can pass that on to another person.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I instead of being like, you were right. Tom Cruise is the best.
If you put sleepers or ones you may not have heard of, I'm all for it. So Soft and Quiet. What was the sci-fi one you liked and the sci-fi one on A.O. Scott's list? Because that's in our wheelhouse.
Neptune's Frost it's one of the years, like if you read a lot of like critics lists, Neptune's Frost was like a big breakout earlier this year.
You haven't seen it, Molly?
I'm going to watch that. That looks good. I wrote it down.
That one is on, I think you can rent it for like $2 or $3 now. It's on Amazon and Apple.
What was your other, you had another sci-fi one that you really liked?
Well, I loved Mad God. That's the stop motion one. I really like After Yang. That's probably the one you were thinking of. That's on Showtime. You can also rent that one, but that's streaming right now on Showtime, which is Colin Farrell. It's great, and it's not like an art film. It's a drama. It's a sci-fi movie. It's like he's trying to get his robot fixed, and nobody can fix it, and people are like, "Oh, we'll just get another one if you want one." But it's it's become a member of the family.
All right, 2 watch movies and films. I just started my list on a little Notion page. Anything else we have for Lon here that we need to discuss? Because I think we got through Disney, we got through Max, we got through A.O. Scott
list. The other HBO Max thing is they had said before they were going to, like, Discovery's going to take over the reality show game, and HBO's not going to really produce as many in-house. And we're this week we're starting to see that they canceled almost all the unscripted HBO Max originals. So Sweet Life and Legendary and like the F-Boy Island, those shows are all going away. All the reality shows will be produced by Zaslav's old team at Discovery now.
Got it. Makes sense.
That's the other big change this week.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was this Amazon launched a TikTok review product. It's like being shared on Twitter. The shopping product. So inside the Amazon app,
right?
I don't have it, but some other people have it. And I thought this is an interesting thing to bring up because I want to just, as we do this week in streaming every week, Molly, I just think talking about the impact of TikTok, because I was watching Reed Hastings was interviewed recently, and he kept talking about two things: games. He brought it up 5, 6, 7 times, and then he kept talking about TikTok. And here's Amazon saying, you know what, we are competing in some ways against TikTok for people's attention. Netflix is seeing this as something with attention. And by the way, Molly, we have to cover this on the news program. There's 2 lawsuits out now against TikTok that have just broken in the last, I think, 24 or 48 hours over programming our kids and the influence it's having and the addictive nature of it. So I just want to put TikTok on our This Week in Streaming plate in terms of its draw. But what do you think about commerce plus TikTok plus this Amazon thing?
This makes me think of, did you remember those trend stories about how young people use TikTok for search now?
What?
Yeah. They like TikTok has started replacing Google for like teens because they'll just go search for whatever they're looking for. If you were going to look up, how do I make, like a recipe or a location or whatever you would be looking up in Google, you could put it into TikTok and it'll just bring up videos about that topic. And then they're so used to swiping through videos until they find what they like. That's become the search mechanism, whereas us old folks are still tied to more conventional search engines. There's a great example. So to me, this feels like Amazon saw all of these trend stories. It was like, maybe this is how young people would like to shop now as well. Instead of going to Amazon.com and typing in pants and then scrolling down pages until you find the pair of pants you like, maybe they want to put pants into TikTok and then swipe until they see a video of someone wearing pants they admire.
Huh. Stunning.
And then Amazon looks at that and goes, crap. We need to get in that game. Hence this new product.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's exactly what it is. It's people under 20 are used to doing this as their search engine now and their discovery. This is how they discover new products.
Google saw this coming with YouTube. Google bought YouTube, in fact, because they started to see the percentage of searches, not on search engines, but on the web in general, start to happen there. And then Amazon did this before. Amazon, a lot of people, when they do product search, just go directly to Amazon to search for products. Obviously, I certainly do. It's a better experience. And then Google launched Google Shopping and has been trying to monetize that and sort of compete against it. And of course, Amazon launched A9, their failed search engine, then shut it down. So you did have this little, like, sort of the battle for the search box. And obviously, now you have, in addition to that, you have Apple selling off their search box for web search to Google and making billions. But they also are now, did you notice in the new version of iOS, when you go to your home screen on the bottom, what do you see?
Oh yeah, you can search. There's a search bar there now.
There's a search bar on the home screen. So the battle for the search box continues, folks. Something to keep in mind. And Molly, what do you think of this concept?
Yeah, I'm surprised that social shopping has taken as long as it has. Like, it's been a really interesting, like, slow moving. There are so many times when Amazon could have done this. There are like individual brands that have tried to do a little bit of video. I think that Amazon is going to have a problem making this consistent across the site. Like, it's really cool, but right now it's I don't know how you pull this off with all of the third-party sellers that you have on Amazon. So you're going to have an inconsistent shopping product. I think that there are, I don't get me wrong, I think this kind of social shopping thing is huge, right? I want to see the video. Yeah, here's some great video of this happening.
Pick your categories. Okay,
but I think, like,
things I love.
This is Pinterest already. This is TikTok already. Like, and unless Amazon can really nail this on every single product on Amazon, it's going to be a weird, inconsistent thing, but also it's the future of shopping, right? It's like a take my money when I see one of these videos.
They're also trying to do this right now on Twitch. Same kind of idea. They're trying to, how can we put our e-commerce tools directly on Twitch so that if I have a Twitch channel and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I just got the best new gaming headphones, or you have to get this, whatever. How can I integrate that into the same page so that people don't need to leave their Twitch channel to buy the product, and then maybe even the creator gets a 5%,
which is huge in China.
Something
like that specific live streaming social shopping is huge in China. There was a whole documentary about it. I interviewed the director like 2 or 3 years ago. Massive deal. I don't know. I mean, it's a big.
Here's the thing: Amazon knows what I've bought, my history and what I've searched for. So they're going to just be like, here's Anchor's TikToks, their stories. Yeah. And if I swipe through a bunch of Anchor products, I'm going to be buying 6 a day. I mean, anything Anchor comes up with in terms of charging and cables. I don't know why I have a fetish for Anchor. You know what I'm talking about, Lon?
Anchor? No, I don't.
And
pull up the
K-E-R.
Anchor store. This is where the producers pull up the Anchor store on Amazon. I mean, Anchor is the best cables, the best charging stations, the best battery packs.
Like accessories.
While you're pulling that up, it is genuinely terrifying. The idea that I would open Amazon as a content experience and get a whole bunch of videos and I could buy from each one of those videos. Like right now, those BuzzFeed, have you ever done the BuzzFeed? Here's all the Anchor stuff. Look how good.
Look at that Nano 3. If you click on that Nano 3, they have a triple charger that does 2 USB-Cs and 1 regular traditional US. They have these little tiny.
This is such a weird subculture to get into. Power. It
really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also the power bricks. It's also the battery packs. I have the MagSafe power backs. I mean,
I just feel like most people don't put this much thought into recharging.
That Nano, see that little Nano there, Lon? Mm-hmm. You know how you carry your laptop brick? This thing fits in the palm of your hand, 60, 90, 120 watts. High-speed charging. You go travel around the world.
I do like a foldable plug is good because they come with those really cumbersome big white boxy ones that are hard to move around. Yeah.
Also, when I travel with the 3 daughters and the wife, I have a multi-charging system that has 5 or 6 different plugs I can put in, 2 USB, 3 regular. Then I take this octopus. It's got a 6-foot cable. I'm in the hotel room. I get behind the couch. I plug it in. I throw it over the couch. I got 5 cables, 3 iPads, somebody's watch, this thing, that thing, everything's getting charged at once. And I am super dad. It's dad's job to make sure the devices are charged. And I take this work seriously.
That's good.
Is this serious hard dad work, Lon? You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
You wouldn't understand.
Dad was too early. There was none of this in the 90s.
Right. This is amazing. Lon, you're a gift to humanity. If you were to say, during this holiday season, here's 3 holiday films that aren't Home Alone.
Okay.
It's not like Elf. Those 2. But here are 3 holiday films. Films that, anybody getting in the Christmas spirit, the night before Christmas or the day before, maybe it's Christmas afternoon, there's nothing to do, it's raining outside. The kids want to get in the spirit. You want to laugh. You want to be touched. What are we going to watch? What should come up? Molly, I'll give this question to you too. Favorite holiday films to watch? Just a couple.
I'm like, what? Well, I watch, what I watch every year? It's so terrible and I love it. I'm not a rom-com person. To throw out everything I've ever said about my action movie fetish and my military fetish and whatever, but I love The Holiday, the home
Jack
exchange
Black
with Jack Black and Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet.
I don't even know this one, and I'm a rom-com guy.
Oh my God.
Really?
I'm so jealous that you get to watch The Holiday for the first time. I watched it.
It's like Nancy Myers, one of those classic. It's like a throwback. You'd probably like it.
It's like an old school
studio rom-com.
Great.
I love Cameron Diaz. I miss Cameron Diaz. That was my
she's coming back next year.
Crush.
She's got a new Netflix movie. She's unretiring next year. Cameron Diaz.
I'm so excited for you. I love this movie. This is my favorite.
Okay,
this is my favorite.
What do you got?
I can think of my personal all-time favorite Christmas movie, the one I usually watch every year, is Scrooged with Bill Murray, the Christmas Carol take, but it's sort of he's the Scrooge character. It's very funny, great cast. Carol Kane is the Ghost of Christmas Present.
1988.
Yeah, Richard Donner, Bobcat Goldthwait's in this movie, Alfred Woodard, great cast. It's really funny. And yeah, it's a recognizable take on the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol, but with a very 90s Bill Murray
This is the
spin.
Bill Murray era I love because I just watched, I told you I did What About Bob? Girls went crazy for What About Bob.
One. Love that one.
Every time we have dinner, they go, Dad, don't start doing And I go,
this corn.
Is this corn fresh shucked?
Yeah.
Would you like some more salad, Bob? Yeah. Pile it high and deep. Just, can you get the tomatoes off there? What About Bob? Have you seen it, Molly?
I haven't, but you've mentioned it so many times, and I was trying to remember this the other day. I was talking to my kid, and I was like, there's some movie that Jason always brings up, and then usually Nick jumps in.
I don't want to oversell it.
We're watching it. We're watching it.
Then we watched, because they love that film so much, I said, you want to watch another one that's just as good? And we watched Groundhog Day.
Oh, God.
A classic.
Which delivers. I mean, 4 6 to 12-year-old girls and their dads from the 80s. I mean, it just is a bullseye. What About Bob and Groundhog Day? It's just
so
amazing.
A perfect capper for that trilogy, I think, would be Scrooged. Would be that's
Love
Christmas. That's the Christmas one to add on top.
I can't play them Stripes yet, but I always loved Stripes as a kid.
Yeah,
because it had a little bit of risque scenes, and that was like one of my first. What's that?
I say it's not that bad. I feel like within a few years you could probably show them Stripes.
Yes, but Stripes to me, this was the first time I was ever like, because what year did Stripes come out?
80.
Might be an overshare.
81 or 82?
Scroll down a little bit. 81.
81. Okay, so when I saw Stripes, in that time period, I think I saw it with the family, there were a couple of scenes where men and women were interacting in a very flirtatious, maybe
got
a little
that
sexual.
National Lampoon, it's like that era.
I was like, whoa. It was the first time I was like, chicks. Whoa. Chicks. I was like a 12-year-old boy, like, whoa. I like that. I don't know what I like, but there's something going on here that I'm kind of digging. And that was my like little. Ooh.
It's funny all the stuff that we grew up.
Nick is like, ooh. No,
there's
I
all
was
this stuff. I know he's like,
I was just like, wow.
There
Bill
is a bunch of stuff that we grew up watching on TV, like that was on TBS. And then now when you watch it, when you rewatch it in streaming on Netflix or HBO or something, you're like, oh my God, there are boobs and also the F word. Like, I didn't know there's like a huge F-bomb in Big.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It does have
because like that wasn't on TBS when we watched it on TV growing up. And then I showed it to my son when he was kind of young and I was like,
F-bomb.
Oops. Yeah.
Oh, the TV show Wednesday has F-bombs?
No, Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
I remember from being a kid, I think that was the first F word I ever heard was when Rick Moranis
Did you watch this Wednesday yet?
So funny.
That everybody's
I
talking
watched
about?
Wednesday. I thought it was all right.
Okay for a 6-year-old? Okay for a 12-year-old? What do you think?
Definitely okay for a 12-year-old. 6-year-old, I don't know if it's inappropriate or if they just, I think it might be a little bit past them. The 12-year-old will probably like it. It's what if you put Wednesday Addams in like a Riverdale? Like it's very much a CW show plus Addams Family together is Wednesday.
People are freaking out about the woman in this, the young actress.
Yeah.
And
Jenna Ortega.
I don't know if she's young or not.
She's 20.
Young.
She's like a
20.
baby.
Yeah.
And there's some dance scene that went viral. I see it all over TikTok and everywhere. Yeah. And this is a dance scene that she's doing that's an homage to the original Wednesday in Addams Family.
It's just it's the Cramps song Goo Goo Muck, which is like this rockabilly song from the 80s. And she's just doing this very weird dance to it, like a Wednesday Addams thing. But then at one point, she does this like weird little tap dance move that is, I guess, a reference to the old Addams Family TV show and a dance that the Wednesday Addams did there. So yeah, this is
TikTok
scene.
Bait, is it not? Like you do this on a TV show knowing that everybody's gonna imitate it because people want to dance. People love to dance.
This is exactly the sort of thing that is breakout.
Choreographed it. Is that true? She choreographed it?
Yeah, they're saying Jenna Ortega came up with this dance on her own.
She's huge and she's going to get huger. Like she is such a big deal.
She had a big year this year. She was also in that Scream movie that came out earlier this year and that movie X, that sort of indie horror film that was a big hit earlier this year.
Right.
So she's like a real breakout sort of horror movie, Scream Queen 2022. She'll
she had COVID.
Is she better than Christina Ricci?
Well, Christina Ricci's also in this. Ricci.
Christina Ricci played a killer Wednesday. I don't remember when that film came out.
The 90s.
Wasn't she awesome for Addams Families? 91.
Yeah, there were two of those Addams Family movies that Barry Sonnenfeld did in the 90s where Christina Ricci was Wednesday. But she's in this now. She plays a teacher in the new show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they brought her back.
Angelica Houston and Christopher Lloyd were also in that. Wow, I forgot. That's going to be a good
Tim Burton directed the first 4 episodes of Wednesday. That's the big draw.
What? It's a Tim Burton jam?
The first half. He directed the first half of the episode.
Oh, I'm in. I love it.
Yeah, people are loving it. It's like a little young for us is what I've heard because it is that kind of CW vibe, but
it's definitely playing to the teens. I feel like your 12-year-old is going to go nuts for it. But, I enjoyed it. If you liked Veronica Mars or Riverdale or that kind of show, you'll probably like this.
Buffy. I'm in.
Buffy, sure, exactly.
I always say we do this every week, and every week I'm like, I'm going to watch all of that. And then I watch like one show the entire week, and the rest of the week I go to bed at 9. Someday, I've got a nice long list.
One other Christmas movie I was going to mention, just because I feel like it gets buried under the radar, and it's older on Netflix, so it doesn't come up. In 2019, Netflix released an animated film called Klaus. I guess it's Klaus.
Oh yeah, Klaus.
Yeah, with J.K. Simmons did a voice, Jason Schwartzman. It's sort of like a origin story for Santa Claus, like it's trying to sort of a prequel to like the Santa Claus myth and where Santa came from. The animation is incredible. As you can even see from here, the animation is awesome and really different and interesting looking. But it's a really cool story too. I really liked this movie. So this would be a good one for kids on around Christmas too.
Well, I'm going to go to my movies and films to watch, and I'm adding Claus, and I'm adding, what was your rom-com?
The Holiday.
The Holiday.
Keep it
Nancy
together.
Myers, it's a classic. You'll
It's so
What
good.
about It's a Wonderful Life? Should I introduce that to the girls? It's a Wonderful Life?
Do the Christmas Story. Do you guys watch the Christmas Story? You know how they run that for 24 hours on Christmas Day? We always watch that at least 3 times.
That's the one with the BB gun and put your tongue on
Yeah, you'll shoot your eye out.
Ralphie and shooting, right, the BB gun.
I think if kids watch that, they immediately take their tongue and they put it on a pole outside. I know
I feel like It's a Wonderful Life is a rite of passage.
You want them to be women, don't you? You want them to be tough.
I don't want to take them to the hospital with a ripped
Nick
tongue.
is like, Elf? Hello? Don't worry, Nick. Elf is just like
I said
assumed.
specifically
I own
exclude Elf because we know Elf is a,
That's the
right,
obvious.
You said don't say the most obvious one, because I would have said Gremlins too, but everybody knows Gremlins. And Nightmare Before Christmas, but everybody knows.
Gremlins occurred during...
Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Oh, Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
It's scary,
When I was in Dallas, I was looking for art house theaters because I wanted to see the new Spielberg film. I couldn't get anybody to go with me. 20 people at Thanksgiving. Not one person wants to go see this film with me.
I want to go.
This is why I wanted to go. I would, if I was in LA, Lon would have went with me.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone.
And I look at the movie theater and they have a Gremlins experience where during the film, they, like Rocky Horror Picture Show, do a Gremlins interactive movie.
Wow.
Experience. And so they have a thing where it's Alamo Drafthouse does.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this sounds like them.
A Gremlins movie party. And it's happening like every couple of weeks and it sells out. Here is, here is what it says. Wait, hold on. I got to find the copy here. All right, here it is. Joe Dante's Gremlins continues to be a pop culture sensation with its darkly funny story of a small town guy who receives blah, 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 which is amazing. A Mogwai, yes. At our Gremlins movie party, we won't let you tear the place apart or ruin our electronics, but we'll have all kinds of fun props available to help you get in the action, including paper planes to throw around during the kitchen fight and masks so you can choose Team Spike or Team Gizmo. We just ask that you follow simple rules. Don't get a Mogwai wet. Don't expose it to bright light. Don't feed it after midnight.
There's that part in Gremlins where they take over a movie theater. So I'm sure the idea is when the Gremlins are going crazy in the movie theater, you go crazy in the theater too. I'm sure that's.
I wonder if they have that at the one in the Mission I'm in. That sounds so fun.
I'll just end with this quick story. In Brooklyn, the Fort Wayne Theater. Kids in Brooklyn are poorly behaved. Saturday afternoon-ish, we go see Rocky. I don't know if it was Rocky or Rocky 2. It might have been Rocky 3 with a Russian guy.
That's with
I think it was Rocky 2.
4 is Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago.
I think it was number 2.
3 is Mr. T is Clubber Lang.
Got it. I think it was number 2. So we see this movie.
2 is Apollo
Now this is Brooklyn. A bunch of teenage kids, young adults, whatever. And, this is a very intense movie. So everybody starts chanting, Rocky, Rocky. Somebody jumps up on their seat. They start throwing popcorn. And right as this kid throws popcorn, you're like, there's going to be a spark in the riot. Somebody's like, sit the, F down. This is Brooklyn in the 80s. And I kid you not, somebody throws a full big gulp at this kid's head. And it makes perfect contact. This kid and everybody around him gets drenched. At which point, The two ushers come in. What's going on here? Flashlights. And then everybody takes their drinks and popcorn and simultaneously throws it at everybody.
Sure.
And the movie theater is pure chaos for the last 10 minutes. They can't stop it. They call the cops. They put the lights on. And then eventually they stop the film. It was a freaking riot. Hilarious. I think we got towards the end. I think we were at the end of the film, but they kind of turned the lights on real quick and the police showed up. Like everybody out of the theater. I have never been covered in so much popcorn and drinks and it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Listen, you're seeing a Rocky movie.
Fun as hell.
That
it was
that
so
goes with
fun.
the territory.
So fun. Don't go to the movies in Brooklyn if you don't want the Gremlins interactive experience.
It had to have been 3 or 4 because you were too young. I feel like Rocky 2 was like 79.
This was 81 to 84.
Yeah, it's 3. I bet it's Clubber Lang, Mr. T. I bet it's
probably
number 3.
81 to 85. I know I was like a young adult, and the movie theater eventually became a flea market, and now is a like Chinese food market.
Sure.
Yeah, all these big movie theaters, and it was one theater originally. Then when I was a kid, it moved to 3, then 5.
Yeah, right. When I was growing up, movie theaters used to have 1 or 2 screens, and that was it. There was no multiplex. That's not. What
they did was they took the balcony and cut it in half, kept the front of the theater. That was theater 1, and then the 2 balconies got cut into theaters 2 and 3. Pretty smart move.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks, Lon.
My pleasure.
I love having Lon on. This show went far too long, but
but we're not sorry.
All right, and next up is, of course, it's Friday.
It is. So we got OK Boomer. Rachel's talking to Alex Banks, the founder behind Through the Noise, and then also the co-founder of Tribescaler. Through the Noise, in case you don't know, because you are not Gen Z, is a publication that covers startups and VC without the noise. See that? See what he did there?
Never heard of this publication. Through the Noise.
Through the Noise. Tribescaler uses AI to help users write better and faster, which is all about creating viral hooks and headlines. And Rachel and Alex talked about how he got interested in the VC and startup space and then his own journey to becoming a founder. The Gen Zs will replace us all. Forget about AI. It's the Gen Zs you got to watch out for.
Through the Noise. I'll check it out. All right. Enjoy, everybody.
Enjoy.
Okay, Boomer.
I understood the assignment.
Today on this segment of OK Boomer, for those of you who are living under a rock, Alex is crazy big over on Twitter. He's at the Alex Banks, but I actually didn't find him on Twitter. I found him through a great newsletter behind, he's, the writer behind Through the Noise, and Through the Noise is a publication. It covers startups and VC without the noise. And I found out you're also a co-founder. You're the co-founder of Tribescaler, and Tribescaler uses AI to help people write better and faster, especially if they're looking to create those viral hooks and headlines, and it works in seconds. And when I found out you were a founder too, I knew you had to come on the show. So again, thank you so much for joining me.
Rachel, it's my pleasure.
So I think first things first, we need to dive into how did you get into this space? Like, I know we're around the same age. And it looks like when I did some stalking, it looks like you kind of jumped right in right after university, after you did your master's.
I started my degree at Imperial back in September 2021 and realized that, look, I am going down this traditional route, which I thought I was dead set on. I had my sort of path mapped out. I wanted to pursue it with, ultimate passion. But then I realized a few months in that, okay, hang on. What if there was a different path, perhaps the side door, that could accelerate and perhaps compress timelines? And from there, I realized, man, this game of creating content is something that I want to be part of. So back in January, I stepped foot in the world of Twitter, writing all things finance, frameworks, and startups, and really haven't looked back since Rachel. It's been one heck of a ride.
Wow. And did you do anything like when you were younger that was like entrepreneurial? Why finance? I feel like starting a newsletter isn't necessarily something, and becoming, honestly, I feel like I can label you as like a writer at this point. That doesn't seem like a very natural path.
It doesn't. And to be candid with you, finance and this concept of money was something that I've been enamored with for since a very young age. I remember being 6 years old, and in my primary school library, there was this big book, hardback, all on money. And I remember that you could only rent it out for 1 week at a time. And I made sure that I beat every kid to the line in that library queue each week to be the first one to get it. Because I was just fascinated with, what is this sort of foreign foreign object to me that at the time, I had my little piggy bank and I sort of saw it rise as I got my little bit of pocket change throughout the years. But I thought, what is this? What is this commodity? And, over the years, you learn to respect it. It's, very much a wonderful force to, satisfy wants and needs and ultimately unlock a lot of opportunity and experience in life. And I think that's what it's all about. So from then a very young age to now, studying economics and then finance to then going to, I guess, appreciate it from a high level and go, right, how can I use attention to get capital and ultimately unlock a lot of economic opportunity? And I'm sure that's what we'll go on and chat about with respect to, Tribescaler, Through the Noise, and seeing a lot of opportunity there that is yet to be untapped.
Got you. And if I'm correct, Through the Noise came before Tribescaler, correct?
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. Both of them were actually running in tandem since the start. So
okay.
I began creating in January of 2022. And, I immediately realized, look, there is an abundance of information online, right? And signal is more important than ever in an era where we're overloaded with content. If we think about all these short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that are ever present in our world right now, TikToks, Reels, everything in between, where whilst they can be an excellent force for good and education, they're here to entertain, they can also, if used incorrectly, they can do some bad things. So I think my impetus to start Through the Noise was going, look, there is this abundance of information online. How can I give you the signal, my dissected thoughts and pieces one time a week in the essence of a newsletter and give that to you delivered straight to your inbox in a sort of 2 to 3 minute read? This is my learnings that I'm going as a founder and as a creator. And if I can share that to a group of like-minded individuals who are in the same boat and I can help shorten their time frames, then I can put my head down at ease at night, Rachel.
I love that. That's super awesome. And I noticed that you use Beehive, and I've been talking about Beehive for a while on this podcast. Yeah. I think it's so interesting that somebody has not only come out of Morning Brew, which feels like the masters at newsletters, but come in and now, really shooken up the world of the other newsletter platforms out there. And it feels like it almost came out of nowhere. Have you always been on Beehive, or were you originally on a different platform?
I actually wasn't. I started with Twitter's native newsletter platform,
yes.
Review. Yep. And I think whilst it is an excellent facilitator, a frictionless facilitator of acquiring new subscribers, I ultimately don't think that the infrastructure they have is suited to, ultimately scaling and growing a real newsletter. So, they have this wonderful integration where you can have a one-click sign up with your Twitter profile, which is wonderful for capturing that sort of top of the funnel subscriber base. But if you want an actual platform to design and scale through, recommendations and having a great mechanism and writing board to actually, ideate and create on, then, Beehive is absolutely the place to go. And I say that out of no affiliation, but pure splendor and enjoyment for using the product. Like I've got huge amounts of value from using it and their recommendation features. And yeah, that would be my number one recommendation to anyone who's thinking about starting a newsletter, in that, look, perhaps you can use the best of both. Use the review integration on Twitter, start capturing all of these subscribers, and then create on Beehive and share what you love.
Okay, so you think that's a good strategy then, I guess. We have a review newsletter that goes out once a week for This Week in Startups. And I've noticed that the clicks it gets, it's so interesting how big the reach is. And the same thing goes for LinkedIn's newsletter plugin. I actually love that you're saying that. So grow on one platform, and then when you want to get a little bit more creative with it, maybe switch to something that offers a little bit more in that sector. And you do call yourself a creator. Is there any other platform that you create on, or is the newsletter really like your main thing? I know like Harry Stebbings, for example, is like huge on TikTok now too, which is really cool to see. Are you on any other platform?
Yeah, no, listen, I started Twitter native. I've gone onto the newsletter, and I think video is going to be my next adventure.
The next
so
one?
I've actually just uploaded my first TikTok and short today. So I'm going to be using some similar growth strategies that I employed with Twitter and seeing where we go over the next year. So I'm super excited for all things short form video and seeing where we land.
That is so cool. And then moving on to the other side of you, which is Tribescaler. Yeah. I love this idea. I'm really excited by AI. I know a ton of people. I didn't know that it was a controversial topic. I've always been a fan of Descript, and Descript is what I used to edit my podcast. We don't use it at This Week in Startups, but I used it when I had my own personal one, and they came out with an AI integration, and it rocked. And that was kind of like my first intro, being like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking helpful. So when I saw Tribescaler, I was like, great, like writing copy. Obviously, like they always say, if you go to a marketing class for especially doing videos and short form content, they say like that first sentence right off the bat, if you're saying a TikTok, like what is that hook? And having Tribescaler there to, help make those better and faster is really interesting. Who did you co-found this with and why?
Sure. I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown. So Paul Graham famously said that, look, the best way to get startup ideas is not to try to think of startup ideas. It's actually to look for problems, preferably problems that you have yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, when I started creating content on Twitter back in January, getting eyeballs on your social media content is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. I would hit publish and my tweets would sit in the dark for days. And to say the least, I struggled for the first 4 months creating online. And even if you write the greatest content on the internet, you'll still face the same challenge, which is, how can I get it seen by millions? Whereas looking back, it's actually quite easy to see why. So in December 2021 is sort of where I sort of started this creating passion. As I was doing a little bit too much gear gathering, Rachel. I was sort of, how can I have my systems in place, my frameworks in place to sort of write great content, when actually I should have just dived straight in the deep end, which I did back in January. Anyway, I decided to try my hand writing on Twitter, and I was totally crowded by imposter syndrome. I'd been lurking for the years prior, and shortly after I made that switch from consumer to creator, I crossed paths with a fellow Alexander Learvag. He's from Norway. I mean, the internet is such a wonderful facilitator of relationships. Anyway, both of us were new to the platform, yet I was immediately blown away by his data expertise and deep knowledge of AI. Needless to say, we got on like a house on fire. And, we both shared this deep curiosity for what made the original gangsters of Twitter blow up, right? 5,000 likes, 10,000 likes, 50,000 likes. What was the secret sauce to virality? And ultimately, I wanted in. And that was when the aha moment kicked in that, look, the hook for your content is the most important factor in its success, right? If you have a mediocre hook and great content, your content will just sit in the dark. If you have a great hook and mediocre content, then your content will get some eyeballs, but you're not following through. Yeah. If you have a great hook and great content, that's the wombo combo. That's what you're looking for. So the hook is the ultimate factor in whether your thread succeeds or fails. That's with respect to Twitter. It might be a YouTube video. It might be an email newsletter. It might be the headline. And so that was when Alexander and I ultimately sat down and go, look, what product, or at least what form will this take? So we spoke to hundreds of friends on Twitter. I was lucky enough to have met some fascinating and wonderful creators. And we sat down, got to the drawing board, and ultimately released Tribescaler back in mid-September. So we're 2.5 months in, and we're very much our sort of big picture vision, to cut a long story short, is to ultimately build the first digital second brain combining your notes with AI. So how can we be a facilitator of your unique perspective, not just the AIs, but all your notes, all your resources, all your ideas that you've collected throughout time? How can we amalgamate these and allow you to share them with ultimate pleasure and efficiency, and layer AI into that to make it way quicker and way better?
So are people currently using Tribescaler for writing their tweets, especially those threads?
Correct. Yeah. So we've just passed 200 customers, which has been super cool to see. And we've got people are writing their hooks with it, their tweets with it. We're going across to LinkedIn content creation as well.
Smart.
So we're exploring these different adjacent markets that we can find our way into.
Gotcha. That's super interesting. I love seeing things like, you're not trying to take, I think when people are afraid of AI, I think a lot of times it's because they don't want a computer to take that complete creative control. So I like that you guys are kind of not going about it as saying, like, this is a tool in your toolbox. This isn't like something that is a replacement. It's a supplement. It's something that can help your content be even better.
100%. We see it to augment your creativity, not replace it.
Yeah. And I definitely see that happening on LinkedIn. It's funny that you say that because I think LinkedIn gets a bad rap. I personally don't do anything on LinkedIn, but I do see like these massive stories of growth happening over there. And it's funny because as much as I say I don't like love LinkedIn, I'm a very big advocate. I'm like, oh, like LinkedIn's so cringy, it's so cheesy. But from like a growth perspective, I've had to use LinkedIn and like pretty aggressively had to use LinkedIn in college. And every job search you have, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that aggressive push on LinkedIn. And it's one of those social media sites. Like if anybody's ever been unemployed, you know how often you're checking LinkedIn, you know, looking for that next job. So the eyeballs that are going to LinkedIn, those are a different level of dialed in compared to Twitter, where if I'm on Twitter, I'm kind of passively scrolling. But if I'm looking at something from a career perspective, I can imagine having things like a good hook where I'm really dialed into that person's content. That matters like immensely. And for Tribescaler, you guys said you recently hit over 200 customers. That's awesome. What's your business model?
Yeah, so we are currently consumer SaaS. So we have a subscription model that we're running at the moment with a couple of plans. One is Grow, the other is Pro, where obviously Grow, you have X number of credits that you can use each month to generate content, and Pro is an infinite amount. So you can hit generate all you like, and you can get endless ideas sparking your creative output. And at least sort of how we see that growing, Rachel, we're, you know, big advocates for increasing the bang for the buck that you get. So expanding our suite of tools that you can use and employ for your creative output, whether that be, you know, something as small as writing a tweet to something as big as being informed on the global markets, right? How can we tailor these pieces to a very select persona, from, you know, content creating all the way to, you know, perhaps even a trading floor down the line.
Yeah, I could even see this happening or being a great tool. I go to like CPG websites, for example, all the time. And the copy that's used and the hook that's even used on websites has been something that has been increasingly on my mind lately, because I'm always say like, it's not just the packaging anymore. It's like what's like the next step, like after the packaging is good and after, you know, the consumer product like really shows like, okay, this is usable. What are they saying? And I think a really great kind of like unique company that does this is my brothers wear these shorts. They're called Bird Dogs. And they're just funny. They have really funny taglines over on their social media. I know maybe it's not even their social media team doing it, but I do notice that creators, at least that are promoting Bird Dogs, are really funny. And it's all with that first sentence where I'm like, they're just out of pocket. So excited to see where this is going on so many different aspects. And if people wanted to find you or find Tribescaler, where would they go?
Yeah. So Tribescaler's at Tribescaler on all socials. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm at the Alex Banks on most platforms.
Amazing, Alex. Thank you so much for joining. And like I said, super pumped to see where this all goes.
Rachel, it's been a real pleasure joining you today. Cheers.